there's no logic in what humans do. They want to play it safe. It's like, I can't do that because what happens if this happens? What happens if I fail? What happens if I lose my money? What happens if I try that and I don't win?
Right, how the hell does a lad from the northeast drive a Lamborghini?
I was driving a £170 car when I was on £100,000 a year. When we were in Iraq, I've stood and paraded on many occasions and sent coffins back home of lads that you're on tour with. And it wasn't until 10 years later when I actually left the military, that's when I got PTSD. I've worked with people live on stage in front of a live audience that 20 years of taking medication, psychiatrist, psychologist, nothing's worked, and in 40 minutes I can completely transform the life. And I say, raise your hands if you think you could break one of my world records, which over 7 mile swim, 220 plus mile on the bike, over 50 mile run in a wanna, 30 plus hours. When you're in those last years of your life and you're looking out that window, you're going to be deep thinking about your life and who you were, how you shown up, what you'll be remembered for, what you've done, and there is no turning back at that point. It's just you and your head.
So today we are joined by Steve Green, property man, mindset coach, entrepreneur, owns a Lambo, which I had to manage to start with that. What a dick. But how are you, mate, first and foremost?
I'm very good. It's took us a while, hasn't it?
It has, mate, to try and get you on the show. But yeah, mate, because every young lad wants a Lambo, right? And I'm going to go straight in with the ask question, because, right, how the hell does a lad from the northeast drive a Lamborghini?
It's about being patient. I'm a big believer that most people get it the wrong way around. So most people, they want the long-term result, they want the vision quickly, and they're not prepared to put the work in at the front end, where what you've got to do. People are impatient with the vision, but they're too slow to take action at the front end, when you need to flip that around the other way. So I'm very impatient with my day-to-day actions, but I'm ultra patient with the end result. So I was driving a £170 car when I was on £100,000 a year.
How have you learnt that patience though? Because that's not something that comes with, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. So how do you learn to have your mindset in the patient side of things, as opposed to just thinking, right? Because every young lad, again, they want the success very quickly. And maybe what you're saying is that's actually the downfall to a lot of people, because they want that. How did you learn to get that resilience, to get that patience?
If I'm being brutally honest, I think it came from insecurity. It wasn't what somebody taught me to do. I've got probably a little bit of a sick side, you could say. And my dad pushed me hard as a kid. I didn't have no choice. I came home from school at 10, 11-year-old, and he used to make me go out on the bike in all weather. And it was just that there's your food, get it eaten, don't speak. And we just used to go out on the bike and put hours in, because he was very skinny. He lost a lot of weight. He came out of hospital, and when he was about 28, he knew he had to put a bit of weight on. He was nearly 6 foot, and he was 9.5 stone. So he took up cycling and weight training, become very good at both, went up to sort of 13.5 stone, in really good shape, abs out, everything. We'd think nothing could do in 100 mile on his bike before going to work on a 2 till 10 shift. And people used to say to him, imagine how good you could have been if you'd have started when you were a kid. And that came out on me. I kind of got the backlash of that. So I think probably because a little bit of that, and because of my insecurity of the Incredible Hulk was my hero when I was a kid, and my dad being this big guy, this big muscly guy, and I was the opposite. I was 5'3" when I left school. Didn't start puberty till I was past 18 years old, and I was very small, very skinny. So for me, my blueprint of what a hero was, like the Incredible Hulk, my dad, I was the opposite. So I had this real insecurity, this, you could call it small man syndrome of this. I had a point to prove. So I think with the car, I've always had a little bit of this, fuck you mentality of like, I'll prove you's wrong. So when I was starting out and I started to build more wealth and I was on 100 grand a year, I didn't care what people said. It's a bit weird because in some respects I needed that validation, but in the other respect I was the opposite of that, where I was my own person, and it was like a knowing that I'm going to fucking prove you all wrong. And because I knew so much, I didn't need the material things to be that person. I knew who I was inside. And because of that, that's why I played that game of patience. In 2006, when I decided I could be a millionaire and I set that goal, I stopped playing the lottery in that very moment as well, because I didn't want anyone to give me it.
We jumped there to like when you started making 100 grand a year, and even when you were driving around that £170 car when you had 100 grand a year. How did you get to 100 grand a year? Because even that in itself, you're not a millionaire, but you're still very successful, more than pretty much any normal job in the Northeast. What have you done from sort of leaving school to start making 100 grand a year?
Yo, what's happening, people? If you are liking the episode so far, make sure you click the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also press the notification bell so you don't miss another episode.
I started off on £29.50 a week on a YTS, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I enjoyed fitness, mindset, gym. That was my only real passion. I didn't enjoy school at all, so I thought it was something in the fitness industry. And I kind of got blagged at the careers office of go work in this health shop, a little bit like a Holland and Barrett, but an individual private company. And they said, oh, you'll be selling all these health products and you'll learn about vitamins and all that. And I thought, it's not quite what I was thinking, but I thought maybe it's the closest thing I can think of. And then I was working in this shop behind a till, and I just thought, this isn't fucking me. And I said to one of my mates, I was like, I need a change. And he went, why don't you come and be a plumber with me? And I was like, what's a plumber? And he went, oh, they just fix pipes and shit and they get loads of money. And I was like, great, that's what I'm going to do. So I just literally changed direction, ended up in the construction industry, plumbing, roofing on sites and stuff like that. And then I was actually stoned one night with my mates, and I just knew I needed to get away from the area. I was 21, starting to do more and more drugs, like moving up from doing a bit of weed on doing speed, doing ecstasy, cocaine, and I just thought I've got to get away from this area, this whole thing. And one of my mates said, I'm joining the army. So I said, like, what's it about? What do you do? And he said, oh, join the engineers, you get to travel the world, get to blow shit up, and you get good money. And I just thought, yeah, I'm doing it. So literally that next day, he took me to the careers office, and I signed up and he didn't, and I did 12 years.
Bloody hell.
But while I was in there, I built my salary up to probably about 32 grand a year. I was getting a few bonuses because I was constantly on tour, Afghan, Iraq and stuff like that. Gemma was on 40 grand a year as a senior leader school teacher. And then I was making about 30, 40 grand a year from flipping a couple of properties. So between us, we were making over 100 grand a year.
Did you see then quickly that, you know, you didn't have to be in the army in terms of a career? If you're making 32 grand a year in the army and you realise, oh, I flip a few properties here, I can actually make what I'm making in the army.
Yeah.
Was that one of the stepping stones to leaving?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, okay.
There was a couple of things. It was, I mean, I talk about this and people probably think I'm a bit weird for even saying this. It was when I bought my first house in 2001, and there was talk of property going up in value. My dad always told me to buy your own house, never get in debt, kind of save up, that kind of mentality. And I remember saying to my dad, well, if this house goes, I bought it for 35 grand, a little tiny 2-bedroom house, and my dad was saying that they're going to potentially go up by 50%, even 100%. And I said to him, if I buy this house and it doubles in price, how much of that do I get to keep? And he said, well, you get to keep it all. It's your house. And I didn't believe him, because I was like, in the world that I've lived in, up to that point, I think I was, what had I been? I'd have been 20, 2001, so what's that, 4 years? So I'd have been 24 when I bought my house. And the world that I know, it doesn't work like that. There's nowhere where someone puts 90% in and you only put 10 in and you get to keep all the gain. And so I didn't believe him. I went and asked the financial advisor and I said, Paul, my dad seems to think if this house doubles in value, I get to keep it all. And he was like, well, yeah, it's your house, why wouldn't you? And I didn't believe him neither. I just thought, he's obviously got it wrong. He's told my dad that information, and that's why they've both got it wrong. So I went and asked a second financial advisor, and he told me the same. And so then my question was, well, my dad bought his house for 2,000, and at that point it was worth 60. So even if property comes down a little bit, we know that it does that. So if property does that, and the bank puts in 90% and you only put 10 in, why aren't people buying more of these things? That was the first question. So from 2001, that was sort of in the back of my mind that I'm going to have more of these things, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think people probably think it's harder to do than what it is. For instance, with what I do with the Content PT, Steve, so I create content for influencers and different brands. And I often find this, that I know how much money you can make in this game, right? Why isn't everyone else picking up cameras and just filming shit? There's a massive thirst for people on social media who need content on a daily basis. I don't understand why there's not more. I don't know anyone else really in the Northeast who's decent. So for me, it's like, why aren't more people learning the skills, applying the skills, and making loads of money? Obviously not to the level of property, of course, but you can certainly make a good living in this game. And I think that's the thing. Obviously, you've had the advice from professionals and stuff like that, and thought, you know, I'm going to give it a go myself. So from that, did you understand that actually now, because I'm doing this is a key to actually becoming a millionaire? Or was a millionaire not something that actually drove you at that point?
No, definitely not. My goal was to buy my dad's house, which was a 60 grand house. And I thought, if I can buy a house and have like a nice 3-bedroom house, paid off my own car and stuff like that. I always believed I was here for something bigger, but it didn't sort of match up what I sort of felt I was capable of, and my ambitions, my goals didn't match. It was 2006, I went on a course in the army, and it completely changed my whole thought process.
What about the army and about your life?
About me, what I was capable of. And in that moment, I set a goal to be a millionaire. In 2006, I said by 2016, I'm going to be a millionaire. And I went home, I told my dad, I told Gemma, and they both laughed at me. And I just thought, I'll show you.
It's fucking crazy that, you know, mate. I just want to touch on the army there. Was there anything in particular that you saw in the army that scarred you? You know, people, you've been to Afghan, you've been to Iraq, you've done these things. Is there anything where you thought, you know what, actually, I don't know if I can because obviously you're a mindset coach as well now. So having that mental resilience doesn't just come from just having it for the crack. A lot of people go through a lot of shit to get to that point. Because you've been in the army, you did the tours, I'm assuming you've came across some unpretty sights. Is there anything you can touch on from them where you think, actually, that was fucking horrible?
I think it's more... One of the biggest things, what for me was, because I had the insecurity as a kid of being small, skinny, when I went in the army, by the time I went in, I was very fit, I was strong, I was doing a lot of weight training, I was in good shape, and obviously that changed my self-image of who I was more in line with my blueprint. I became a PTI, and I had a reputation for being ruthless, and that was just a fact that really hard driven, how my dad was, if you do this to this standard. I had that, and I used to push the lads, and I had a reputation. Like, a lot of lads on camp didn't like me because you didn't want to do PT with me, because if it was a 5-mile run, it meant you were doing a 10-mile run. If it was a 5-mile log race, you were out for 10 miles. And I was when I look back, I was a bit reckless on some of the things I used to do in terms of how I push the lads. When we were in Iraq the first time in 2003, when the war started, we were on ration packs. We lost a lot of weight. There was sickness and diarrhea going around. We had 4 litres of water a day, and that was to wash with, shower with, drink, the whole lot, because we were the first ones to cross the border. And because of that, you couldn't shower, you didn't have hygiene, you needed that 4 litres to drink, literally. You were just brushing your teeth dry, you couldn't waste any of your water, you needed that. And because of that, there was really bad hygiene. All the lads were going down and you just have to crack on. And I lost a lot of weight. I dropped down to 9 stone 13 on one of my tours. And that stripped me of my identity again. It was like, who am I? I'm going back to this insecure kid. So it wasn't so much what happened. I mean, I've lost close friends on tour, and I've stood and paraded on many occasions and sent coffins back home of lads that you're on tour with, and that's not easy, but that wasn't the thing that really impacted me. It was the self-image thing, and I kind of buried that, got through that tour, put the weight back on, and I was fine again. And it wasn't until 10 years later, when I actually left the military, that's when I got PTSD. And for somebody who didn't feel they deserved to have that, that it was quite hard to take, but that was a low point in my life in 2013. I had to see a therapist because of that.
Why did you not feel like you deserved to have that? Because obviously it's something that's quite common throughout, you know, people who've been in the army and stuff like that. What made you feel like you wouldn't suffer from that?
I guess it's the thing that we all do. We compare ourselves to other people. That it's easy to look at other people and think that they're better because of this or that, or a little snippet of their life. And I guess looking at the paras, the Marines, SAS and stuff like that, them guys are in a lot more close quarter battle. So it's a little bit like, if anyone deserves to have PTSD, it's them guys. It's not us guys, even though I lost one of my really good friends out there. And I've been in my tent in Afghanistan where we've been mortared from the mountains, and there's nothing you can do about it. You are literally helpless. So although I've been in some situations where you're running for the bunkers and stuff like that and shitting myself literally, I don't know, I just didn't feel that I deserved it because other people had probably had worse situation.
Yeah, I understand that. You know them situations, and I'm quite interested and intrigued by those scenarios you've been in, because again, if anyone's going to have mental resilience, it's someone who's been face to face with death, probably on numerous occasions like yourself. In those moments when, you know, the place that you're in is getting absolutely chewed up by bullets, or people are, you know, you're running for bunkers, as you say, what does go through your mind in them scenarios? Is it your family? Is it, why the fuck did I do this? Is it, I'll die by this and I'm happy to do that? Like, what is your mindset?
I think for me, one of the biggest shocks I got, and again, it's like people probably expect you to like say something different, but it wasn't. And again, just being honest, it was the first time we went to Afghanistan, and we had to write death letters for the first time to our loved ones, because there was obviously a high risk of you being killed out there. And I think it was sat by myself for the first time, writing that letter to my partner, to my parents. I broke down. I remember just being in the room by myself and just like crying. I struggled so much to write these letters of, what do you want that person to read about you when you're not there? It was just, it was the little things like that really chip away at you, that people wouldn't think. They expect it's the guns, the battle, the being blown up, but it's often the things you don't expect that can really chip away at you.
What, again, you don't have to go into detail with this, but what types of things would you put on a letter like that? Like, how do you want people to know you as when you're in that scenario and you know that you could die at any minute?
It was probably slightly different then to what it is now. Although the general sort of thing was, I just want you to be happy. I don't want you to waste your life because I'm not here. I want you to push on and do your own thing, and don't let my death be your downfall.
Fucking hell. Do you think you'd have that same mindset now as well?
I'd have that more now than what I would have then, definitely.
Have you got kids, Dave?
Yes.
And is that why?
I just believe it's just a short time. I believe that we've got to maximise this. Don't have no regrets. For me, I believe that one of the things which I teach is when we're later on in life, and let's say we're fortunate and we live a full life and we're at 80 years old, we're in a nursing home and you're looking out that window reflecting, and your partner's not around, your kids have maybe moved on, done their own thing. When you're in those last years of your life and you're looking out that window, you're going to be deep thinking about your life and who you were, how you shown up, what you be remembered for, what you done, and there is no fucking turning back at that point. It's just you and your head, and that motivates me to death. It's like, I do not want to be sat there looking out that window knowing it's too late and going, if only I'd have done that. Why did I do that? Should have shown up this way. I should have said that. And that motivates me to live my life in line with my blueprint. There's a question that I ask people, and it's scary how many people, like if I ask this question to 100 people, 98 of them will put the hand up, if not 100. Mm-hmm. And my question is there something you know you should be doing right now? Mm. And people will put the hand up to that. So my question is, why are you wasting even a single moment not taking that action? Mm-hmm. Because you are basically sabotaging your own results. That blueprint of what you want to be remembered by, if you aren't living that out right now, there's going to be the worst pain for that at some point in your life.
So what I would say to that, and I agree with you 100%, what I would say, I feel like, and again, you're the expert, is the reason that people struggle with following that blueprint, is that because maybe they don't have a big enough reason or a compelling enough reason, or the why's not big enough? Because for people who know that they want to be remembered and they want to do the things that they've always wanted to do, but how do you get someone who just does the normal day, doesn't really have, you know, a particular set of rules that they want to be remembered by, or a certain blueprint that they want to follow, or a certain achievement that they want to attain? How do they create that why?
You need to get a coach. People get comfortable and people don't believe they're capable of achieving certain things. You've got to have direction, and by helping somebody have that, if you can't get that clarity yourself, you want to be working with somebody. Mm-hmm. The other thing is just knowing you can believe it. Most people don't think they're capable of achieving those things, and fear is one of the biggest killers of desire.
If you don't know by now, I run a business called The Content PT. I create content for influencers, PTs, online coaches and fitness brands all around the world. So if you are someone who's in need for sexy content for your social media, or you really want to maintain a competitive edge in your industry, drop me a DM on Instagram.
In regards to, obviously, what you do, Steve, as a mindset coach, an investor, an entrepreneur, successful businessman, you've also went for Guinness World Records and stuff, haven't you? What was the mindset in that, and does that change to how you'd normally want to achieve something in life? When you're doing something physically, do you have to have a different mindset or a different approach to just, I want to make £1 million in 10 years? Because with the patience thing, and I want to make £1 million in 10 years, it's achievable. Because at the end of the day, you can literally reverse engineer that. However, if you want to win a fight, or you want to win whatever it is, or an achievement, a hike, whatever, how do you sort of get your body to understand that it is achievable?
Intention.
Right.
So when you set an intention that is non-negotiable, that's when people can achieve things. And that's what I do. It's when I make a decision. The word decision, it's a Latin word for decader, which means to cut off from. So when we make a decision, we're cutting off from something else. Mm-hmm. And I understand that I'm cutting off from everything other than the result. It's as simple as that. When I decide I'm doing something, the result's happening. I've already seen it. It's inevitable. If it takes a day, a week, a month, a year, 10 years, I will get that result. And And that's what I would say to people. Have enough intention. I've got a saying, don't sweep up with one hand. If you're going to do something, fucking do it to the best of your ability and get all fucking in on doing everything that you do.
The reason I ask you that is, and why I try to akin it to like a marathon or a hike or something like that, because obviously David Goggins is fucking everywhere, right? And I feel like you're like a Goggins in that respect. Are you better than Goggins in terms of mindset? Do you agree with his mindset?
I've got a lot of respect for Goggins, and a lot of people do compare. How can you not? I've got some friends that don't respect Goggins for certain reasons, and I get their point. But for me, how can you not respect a guy who's gone from that weight, massively overweight, to where he is now, being in shape and doing those physical things that he does? I think only ego would stop you from admiring, respecting somebody like that. If you ask me, am I better than him? It depends on what that perspective is. We've probably got strengths in slightly different areas. Although I do work out, would I fancy having a go if he's pull up?
You and Goggins on a treadmill, who gets off first?
Goggins.
He gets off first?
Yeah.
I think he'd say the same, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking class. Obviously, you're working with pro boxer Josh Kelly, and that's... it's been unbelievable, and I've been part of the team myself with yourself over the last few fights, and it's been unbelievable. And I've seen, I don't know exactly what you and Josh get up to and what you talk about and stuff. All I know is you've been a big part of his success, 100%. I'm sure Josh would say the same. What types of things, and again, we don't want to give away any secrets, of course, but what types of things do you say to a boxer or an athlete or someone who's trying to complete a task? Because when someone has you as part of their team, they're not you. So they can only get whatever energy you're given. So what type of energy are you bringing to someone who's got something like an event coming up, a competition, a fight, whatever it may be? One
word: belief.
Is that all it is?
I believe I'm the best coach on planet Earth in shifting belief. If you ask me to cook a microwave meal, I will struggle. If it's got more than 3 instructions on it, I will struggle. But I have this unique ability to read people. I could do it at 7-year-old as a kid. Mm-hmm. So I knew if adults were lying, and I realised at a young age that other adults didn't realise that other adult was lying. I have an ability to read people and energy. People say I'm maybe autistic or something like that. Like with numbers, I'm unbelievably quick with numbers, like times tables and things like that.
4 plus 3.
4 plus 3, 8.
I've got him, lads.
8.
No.
7, that one, isn't it?
No, it's no, but that's what I mean, because for me, like, I feel like there's certain things where I know that, for instance, and I've said this on many podcasts, mate. One of the biggest reasons I do a podcast is because I've always struggled to just sit down and have a conversation with someone. And I don't mean struggle as in I can't speak to people, but I feel like I know it benefits me as a person. Yeah. And selfishly, this is why I do the podcast. It's not for you. It's not for the guest. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to hear them stories, but I'm trying to get a guest on so I can learn more about me. Yeah. And I feel like when you're in here, I feel like, is it a mindset coach that I need to continue what I'm doing because with my business on the side? Or is it actually, ads, you know what, you've got this? And how do you know when you're on the right track or when you need someone? Because surely even when you're on the right track, you'd still benefit by having a Steve Green in your corner.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter where you are, you can absolutely do more. And I prove this. I've pushed lots of people to world records. And there's a question that I ask. If I'm in a full room, and I've had it where there's 500 people in a room, and I say, raise your hands if you think you could break one of my world records, which over 7 mile swim, 220 plus mile on the bike, over 50 mile run in a wanna, 30 plus hours. You might get one person will put the hand up. Usually there's nobody. Mm-hmm. And then I shift the question and I say, okay, let me ask you another question. Think about the person that you love the most now. Think of one person, either your partner, your mum, your dad, your brother, sister, child, whoever that is. I want you to put an image of one person in your head right now. And once I think of that, I say, right, I've got a gun to that person's head. And if you can't drag yourself around on a 7-mile swim, do that 200-mile bike ride and walk, run 50 miles, this person gets shot. Raise your hands if you think you could do it. And every single hand goes up. And my question is what happened in that fucking moment between that one question and that one question? The only thing that shifted was you now have a big enough why to do it.
Yeah, I get that. Like, so that is one, it's a great example, but that can't be the only technique that you use, because again, go to the head mentality, I get that totally. Is there any other approaches? Like, what could someone do right now who's struggling just to do the normal thing, mate? It could even be just fucking going out the house for the day. No matter how small that step is, what type of thing, or how can they quickly shift their mindset? Do you have any techniques or any kind of value that you can give someone right now to say, look, if you're struggling with anything at all, even if it's baby steps, what can they be doing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I have hundreds of different approaches, but predominantly they're all leading up to shift belief. So I'm very well qualified and experienced in multiple different types of therapy work. Most people, they can't prioritise and they care too much about the things they can't control. So one of my things I say to people, get a sheet of A4 paper, draw a line from top to bottom down the middle. On one side, write can, on the other side, write can't. So all the things you can control, write down that side. All the things you can't, write down the other side. If you can't control it, fucking forget about it. If you can control it, ask yourself, out of these here, which are the main 5 that if I was to do these things that have the biggest impact on my life? Get them 5. Now put them in priority order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only focus on number 1 until it's done. When it's done, forget about it, move on to number 2. If you can work on the important things and don't give focus to things that don't matter, we can move forward on that goal. I do this on a daily basis. There's a question I ask myself, which is, what's the 5 things I'm going to do today which will have the biggest impact on both my life and other people's lives? And I ask myself that every single day.
It's unbelievable, that, mate. With that being said, do you have a common, so for instance, what would you say would be the most kind of common problem that you run into with self-belief from your clients?
I have another saying that most people are tiptoeing through life to safely get to death. There's no logic in what humans fucking do. They want to play it safe. It's like, I can't do that because what happens if this happens? What happens if I fail? What happens if I lose my money? What happens if I try that and I don't win? Like, you're going to be fucking dead. Like, it's as if people have forgot it. It's like, exactly. People seem to think that they're playing this fucking video game where you've got to try and fucking save your lives to get to level 2 or level 3 to finish the game. The fucking game ends. There is no getting to the end of the game. The game ends. And I think when you understand that, you stop trying to fucking safely tiptoe through to get to the next level, and you go, there's one fucking level. The day I was born to the fucking day it ends. So live that fucking level to your absolute maximum.
But that's the savage thing, mate, especially with social media now. Everyone's looking at the next guy. I'm looking at the Steve Green in his Lambo, and I'm seeing me golf parked outside. I'm thinking, for fuck's sake, lads, you're not doing enough. So, you know, part of what we see is that, like, how do you stop caring about what others think when you're absolutely surrounded by it? Is it good to come off social media? Is it good to actually be inspired from it? Like, how do you stop giving a fuck about what other people think?
You've got to know what your blueprint is. So you've got to know where do you want to be. And if you just focus on that, then nothing else matters. Otherwise, you're giving focus to the things that I can't control again. You've got to now put your focus on that box on the right-hand side of the sheet of paper. Like, I can't control what you think about me. You might walk out of this room and go, he's a bit of a tosser, he's a bit arrogant or whatever.
I said that on the way in.
Yeah. I can't control that.
Yeah.
To me, I'm not bothered if I can't control it. It's not within my circle of influence, which Dr. Stephen Covey talks about in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is a good book, one that I'd recommend. But yeah, it's what can I influence? If you can't influence it, forget about it. Do
you deal with people who are suicidal as well?
Yeah. I don't specialise in it, but I'm very good at it. So I've worked with people live on stage in front of a live audience that 20 years of taking medication, psychiatrist, psychologist, nothing's worked, and in 40 minutes I can completely transform their life from going from planning their death to becoming very, very successful in a very short period of time.
How do you gain someone's trust that quick? Because for me, like, again, I know we said this kind of off camera, but like when certain people might meet you, they'll be like, who does he think he is? Thinking he can change my life? Because I think a lot of people would get the backup. If I was going through a bad time, you were like, I reckon I can sort you out and fucking give us a couple hours with you. I'd be like, oh yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, I would be. That would be my natural response.
I get that.
How do you like sort of how do you give someone that trust? How do you gain that trust that quick? Is that just a character? Is that something you've always had, or is it something you've worked on?
No. It's a bit of each. I understand people. I can read situations, but there's also skills that we can all learn. So things like NLP, coaching, match and mirroring. So doing things where that person at an unconscious level, if we match our tonality and the body language to the person, that they will copy it. It's like, I'll give you an example, and if anyone who's watching this, go test it. When you're sat in a pub, sit there, or you're in an environment, pick your glass up and take a drink and watch how many people copy you. And they don't consciously think about that. It's unconscious behaviour. So when you do that and you understand that, you can bring somebody in a rapport with you and have them copying your actions without them even realising it's happening to them. So I use that because at an unconscious level, you will just pick up that we're connected. I will listen to how they talk. If they talk softly, I'll talk softly. I'll slow down my tonality. If they talk with bigger energy and the swearing, I'll match that energy. And at a subconscious level, they'll go, there's something about this person I connect with. And they're unable to pick up on those things.
I'd love to watch. I'd love to watch you I'd love to record you on 10 dates with 10 different women. Yeah. I'd just love to say, oh yeah, no, that's a different fucking Steve for the one I know. That's a different. That'd be class. That the things you've achieved, and again, I want to kind of bring it full circle back to the Lamborghini you've got outside, mate. And the reason I say that, because again, I feel like it is something that a lot of people put on this pedestal where they say, once you've got the Lambo, you've got the Rolls, you've got whatever it is, that's the thing. For me, I've always wanted a nice watch. So that's kind of like, from a materialistic point of view, that's what it is. And I'm not here to say I'm not materialistic, because I definitely am with certain things, and I would tell anyone the same. Have you discovered on your journey to having things like that, have you sort of experience much jealousy, or people sort of not ring you as much, or is it the opposite in fact?
Both, but yeah, I have experienced it. It's a part of succeeding that I've had people very close to me backstab me, be extremely jealous. My advice is don't let material things define us. People put me on a pedestal, and my reality is that we should absolutely be our number one own fan. You should champion yourself. If you aren't saying positive things about yourself, then fucking that's a sad place to be in. And if that's hard for you, just keep fucking doing it until it becomes natural. But don't let material things define you. Like, people put me on this pedestal and I go, who the fuck's Stephen Green? Let's be honest now, right? Who's talking about the Queen now? Nobody. No one's even talking about her. So on the biggest scheme of the universe, when we talk about planets are 2 billion years away, then who the fuck am I? Like, come on, like, all right, I might be on stage, I might have a Lamborghini outside, so fuck. It really doesn't mean anything at all. It doesn't define who you are as a person. People won't remember you because you had that blue Lamborghini. They'll remember you for who you were and how you shown up. And I think if you remember that, them things just become nice toys to play around with.
So on that then, you've got that thing, you've got that car, you've had that. Does the novelty wear off?
No, I don't use the car a lot. I've only done 5,000 miles in it in 15 months, so sometimes I won't drive it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time. I don't need it, but I absolutely love it because I worked hard for it, and it was something I wanted that from a kid. I used to play with cars and used to think I'm going to have one of these when I'm older. So it's probably a little bit of a reminder, because one of my coaches said to me previously, one of the things he kind of criticised me on was, because I'm a man who doesn't rest on his laurels and I'm always moving forward, the polarity of that is I sometimes don't stop to give myself any recognition of what I've actually done. And it's probably because I just don't think I'm such a big deal. I don't think the car's such a big deal. I just think it's about how we show up as a person. That's the biggest thing. If you know what your blueprint is, take action. And it's like if I'm in an event and I say to people, raise your hands, the amount I've stopped thousands of people from stopping smoking in this one technique. And I say, raise your hands if you want to change an area of your life, and people put their hand and I go, raise your hands if that's you smoke and you want to stop smoking. And people put their hand up, and I say to them, how do you want to be fucking remembered? Look at your blueprint. You know what you need to do. Raise your hands again if you smoke and you've got children. And they put their hands up, and I go, what kind of fucking role model do you want to be? If you don't want your child to smoke, then why the fuck are you doing that in front of your child? Because I hold myself to a certain level, I wouldn't allow that in myself. And I say to people, bring your fucking cigarettes and those fucking gay puffers up here right now and put them on the stage. Yeah. And I literally have fucking sometimes 20, 30 people putting these things on the stage, and I think a lot of it's less popular now than it was. The numbers in the room, if I say raise your hand if you smoke, it's a lot less. It's not as cool these days. But then the ones that don't come up to the stage, I'm quite tough with them, because I say, you fucking come here, you've paid for me to work with you, you know what you need to do, and you're still fucking refusing to take that action. And I kind of have that thing of, look, if you don't want to help yourself, fuck off, because I'm not going to waste my time around you if you aren't prepared to do the things that you know you should be doing.
So is anybody not coachable?
Yeah.
Those people?
Yeah.
The ones who are not willing to do the basic things?
Two things have to be present. One, you've got to be looking for change. And two, you've got to be willing to accept it.
Right, I see. So they've actually got to want to do it, isn't it? It's like a rehab or something like that,
Yeah.
isn't it? With success, Steve, do you want more?
Yeah.
Are you happy now from the kid that you once were and always want to prove that point, to say fuck you to these guys, to do these things that you've achieved in life? And again, congrats on that. But have you ever actually stopped to think, do you know what, I'm happy now? Or do you kind of get to that benchmark? I heard a quote the other day, and it was, it's not about the pursuit of happiness, it should be about the happiness of the pursuit. And they found that actually people who booked holiday in advance would have more happiness from the anticipation of the actual event than the event itself. So because you got the Lambo, is it like, now I want a yacht, now I want that? Or is it like, no, I want more money? Like, where does the line ever get drawn for you, or does it not?
Okay, so I this is the most valuable thing that I can share with people on your podcast. And if you said to me, if you told, I've just been bit by a snake and I've got fucking 2 minutes to live, what's your message that you want to share with people? It would be this thing here. The house, the car, the girlfriend, the holidays, the clothes, the rings, the watches, we do all of that predominantly for one thing, and that's to be happy. And the thing where humans get it wrong is happiness is not a destination, it's a state. Two people can have exactly the same experience but put a completely different meaning to that experience. Yeah. So when you understand that, you can decide to fucking make something shit a good experience, and I encourage people to try it. Look at that drawer, your shitty drawer in your kitchen that you haven't tidied, or that shed that you put off, and go and do it with all the intention, and tell yourself that I fucking want to clean the shed out and I want to do it and I'm happy and I'm loving doing it. You can shift the meaning. If you can do that, you've won the game of life, and all of the other things are just a bonus. That said, I always have a desire to be better and to have more, but I don't attach happiness with that. I attach happiness with I'm complete and I'm living line in life. I'm living life in line with my blueprint. If I'm doing that, I'm happy.
Unbelievable, that, mate. However, you've definitely died off that snake bite, mate. That was landing in 2 minutes. One final question, Steve, and this is just purely my curiosity, and this is a bit of a selfish one. Does having fancy things gain you access?
100%. I was going to get rid of the car because I wasn't using it. But I've had a number of situations where people have realised and went, is that your car? Yeah. What is it you do? You're looked at in a different way. And it definitely has opened the doors for me. It's a marketing tool, and I'm aware of that, and it's probably one of the reasons why, even if I'm not asked about it, I'll keep it, because people do view you in a different way, and it is easier to get access to things. 100%.
Are you into watches and that as well?
No, I don't. I don't even wear a watch. I'm not defined by that.
Because it's mad. Because looking at you now, you don't look like the stereotype of a guy who jumped out of a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
You're in your quarter zip, performance top, discipline hat. And actually, let's mention that. So Discipline's obviously your brand. What is Discipline all about? And if people want to get involved, obviously we've seen certain athletes and stuff part of that brand now, and it's grown rapidly. I've seen it fucking everywhere, mate. I'm sick of it now. But where can people kind of see it? What's it about? How do they get involved? Go for it, mate.
So yeah, 2 questions. I'm not your typical millionaire in terms of, I had a meeting a couple of years ago with 2 very, very wealthy guys. I didn't even think about it. I took them at Wetherspoons for lunch. And
They'll be thinking, what the fuck is it?
Yeah, literally. And they knew who I was. They knew what success I'd had. I was aware of who these guys were and what they've done. And the next day, one of them rang me up and they said, we want to do business with you. And they just said, can I ask why you chose to take us to a Wetherspoons? Was it because of this or that? And I went, was neither. I didn't think about it. It was just fucking easy to park and you can get all right food there. I don't eat oysters and shit like that. I'm just a lad's lad. It's I didn't think about it was the answer. And they went, that's why we love you and that's why we want to do business with you, because we just think that you just didn't care. You just took us there with probably without even thinking about it. In terms of the brand, this is my passion now. It's to grow a global brand. I see Discipline as a brand global. It's my ultimate thing now. Nothing at all in my life is more important than making this a global brand, and that's exactly what I'll do. So over the next 5 years, I started selling the clothing 7 years ago, sort of part-time, just a little bit of events. Our launch is tomorrow, 17th of December 2023, for whenever someone's watching this. This brand will be global, that I absolutely say for sure, and there will be athletes, there already is athletes wearing this at high level on places like DAZN and Channel 5 and sports channels and things like that, but this is going to be big.
How do you plan to take it there?
5
years global brand.
Working with the right people, working with leverage and just following the same steps to success which I use every time, which is actually the letters in the Discipline model, which is a 10-step model that I follow, and it's a 10-step model that I teach, that if people follow those 10 steps, you can achieve whatever you want.
So that actually stands for something?
Yes. So I knew that was going to trigger that question.
Come on then.
So now you're going to ask me what it is.
Backwards. No. What is it? What does it stand for?
So the D's desire. It's the starting point of all achievement. Nothing has ever happened or ever will happen without it. The second letter is I, which is imagination. You've got to have a clear vision of what it is you want. The S is the subconscious mind. We're in a subconscious state for up to 95% of the day. So knowing how to influence that, putting the right kind of information into the subconscious mind. Then we have the C, which is the cycle of performance, which is your results are being controlled by your actions. Actions are controlled by your decisions. Decisions are controlled by emotions. Emotions by your thoughts. Thoughts by beliefs, and belief by your self-image. And it's my own model. Then the next I is your I am. It's your identity.
There's only one I in Discipline.
There's only what?
There's only one eye.
Nah, 3. 3.
Love this, mate. This is quality.
So the second I is I am, and that's the story you tell yourself. Somebody who's got anorexia is not overweight. They live their life in line with what their story is. And whatever that story is, whether it's true or not, you will live your life out. So you need to be very mindful of what your story is and what you say about yourself. The P is persistence. You aren't getting anywhere unless you're persistent. It's as simple as that. The L is lasting goals. So I have a goal setting model that if you follow that 7-step model, it's a way of setting goals. The I is inner circle, which is the people you put yourself around, mega important. The N is to nullify procrastination, so not put things off, not waste time, not give focus to things you can't control. And the E is enlighten others, is giving back to other people. I'm a big believer in what you put out in the universe, you get back, and how you enlighten other people and help them on their journey is a beautiful and magical thing to do.
Fucking hell, mate. Unbelievable. Steve, thank you so much for coming on the show, mate. It's been a pleasure. Genuinely, mate, I want to ask you that many questions, and I'm like, I know we're strapped for time, got a busy day today. But yeah, mate, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, mate. We finally got there in the end. I'm buzzing. Thank you, mate. Cheers, bro. Thank you, mate.
Pleasure.
Mate. Thanks a lot for that.